And we're live! Welcome to the Gordox Pub, where we don't serve dwarves. Do you know why we don't serve dwarves? Rich?
You asking me?
Yes.
Well, I would work for a dwarf.
No. We don't serve dwarves because this is a pub, and there are no minors allowed.
Oh. That's with a ER, not an OR.
Yes, I know.
But they don't.
They might. I trust them.
They know now.
Yeah. I used an AI image generator today, Rich. Sorry. There's some controversy apparently at work, and there's this big long email thread all about door decorations, and they're hilarious. Like, I'm just enjoying all of this. And like the guy that his room was right next to mine, he messaged me. He's like, it's a meme of the Emperor. Just going, I'm over here like, yes, let the hate flow through you. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much, that's me. And then to the whole group, because I'm a bit of a pot stirrer, apparently. I asked Dolly to give me a picture of a guy bursting through a door and saying, here's controversy. And yeah, it ripped off The Shining pretty darn well. I was like, well, that's a pretty good interpretation of what I wanted. But I figured a throwaway meme that's only for like 20 people would be okay. Plus, I didn't spell controversy right. In fact, I don't even think it spelled here's right. I think it was he controversy.
What?
Nothing. We had an ugly sweater spirit day today. And then we had a fire drill, which I think is just evil and hilarious. Because, you know, everyone that had sweaters on walked outside just fine. It was only the people who didn't have sweaters. They were freezing.
Okay.
Okay. How's Eli doing?
He's on the phone and on his earphones. So you'll probably hear him, even though he doesn't know that you're going to hear him.
Oh, okay.
Do you know how big rats can get?
Yeah, they can get kind of big.
Largest one's over 3.5 foot.
I'll pass on that. Is that tails to nose, though?
I think it's to tail. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that would be to nose as well.
Well, I'm just saying because that tail's like half of its length.
I think, yeah, in some cases that's true. But a 1.5 foot full body is
Still big.
pretty fucking big.
Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Sometimes. Check it out.
You hear him?
Yeah. I can't
Yeah,
quite.
he's on the phone in the other room.
Yeah.
He doesn't realize that everybody in the world can hear him.
So I streamed last night for my students for about 10 minutes. And as soon as I started to, it buffered so badly. Like, I don't know what. I don't know if OBS, I just don't know. I don't know if my computer can't handle it. I don't know if it's something with my internet. I don't know if it was just random slowness, but oh my gosh. Like, if it's that slow, if I can't figure it out, that is it is terrible. It's fine if you don't want to do a live stream, but my God, if that's what it does on a live stream, it's not going to be worthless or useless. It's not going to be useful. That's the word I'm looking for. Ugh.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of it depends on your connection and the what let me think for a second. I'm trying to find a word here.
Well, I'm telling you, I probably can't pull it up and StreamYard. So, if I don't know it off the top of my head, it's just I've already figured to look at what I was actually streaming at. I just
check this thread out. Yeah, that's not the world's largest rat either.
I know.
That's pretty friggin' big though.
Yeah, my wife had a rat similar to that.
Let me see for a second. All right, so I guess I don't know what P stands for, but what's your definition setting on your stream? Because this stream is
I have to pull that all up.
right. This stream is 480p. And if you're
Yeah.
streaming at 720p or 1080p, that might slow your stuff
Yeah.
down. Or
Yeah.
also could be working the other way around if you've got like a 360p, then it may not be higher quality enough. So yeah, I mean, just a couple ideas for you to check out later on.
No, I
So you're roboting right now.
think it's
I'm freezing out.
1080p.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
That's my problem.
Yeah, you're right. You're roboting and you're
Everything's
freezing
dying.
out. I think you're dropping frames per second. So it might have to do with your internet connection speed as well. I don't know, but if I don't get back to work, then people are going to think that we don't do anything on this channel again. We do stuff on this channel sometimes. Oops,
We've made a few pages.
We've done what?
I said we've made a few pages.
Yeah, this is what, 7?
I thought this one was 8.
Oh, I think it's 7 because we condensed some. I guess I could look, because this is the third time working on this page because the first time was doing the layout ideas. I thought it's page 7, and I don't think I've read page 8 yet.
What you do on Saturday? What is Saturday? Next week, what is Sunday? They're off? Sunday? Yeah, Saturday or Sunday? I don't know. What on her? I know, yeah. I know, yeah. Oh, I know. They both on Saturday. Right, now. They're coming. They're coming now. They're coming.
So on that email thread where they were, where the controversy about the rigged contest was, what?
I don't know if I just don't know if I'm sure what you're referring to at the moment.
So at my place of employment, we were having a door decorating contest, and there was an email thread where people are contesting it for whatever reason.
What?
Yeah. So apparently,
did they stake so much on the door decorating contest?
I don't know.
Isn't that a bit like?
Well, thank you, David Rodriguez.
I've got the nicest looking lawn.
Well, apparently there was some, like, one of the teachers on one of the floors decorated her door and it was like Eagles themed, and like some sports page picked it up.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just looking over at David Rodriguez's first like. Thanks.
Right. So
much appreciated.
So Anyway, so there's this like these people are arguing about all this stuff. And I'm going in and I'm just throwing comments like, I'm voting for the sad puppies. I know they don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Which, I was saying stuff like, don't we just keep counting votes till I win? Even though I didn't even decorate my door.
So you were fucking with them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, my students are like, why are you giggling? Nothing.
You'll see when we win.
The guy who started the contest, he's taller than me. He's like 6, I don't know, like 10. Like, he's huge. And I went up to him after work today just to tell him how much fun I found this whole door contest. He's like, I love this time of year. This happens every year. I look forward to it. Those comments are the best.
You don't know what you just lit.
If we end up having a meeting over this, I'll be kind of upset.
If you end up having a meeting over this, record it on your phone. Because everyone's going to want to know. So last time, Turtle stopped in and we were trying to figure out where we knew him from. He has been in another video, but I think he's on Wheeler's channel. I've seen him on a different channel in those circles as well.
Okay.
So recognize the name because we've seen it before.
Too cold. Oh, so bright, so bright, so bright, so bright. They all have so bright. Okay, so dark. What is that? I don't know. Okay, what is that? Okay. No.
Okay.
Okay, what?
Well, you just now we're much farther away. That's all.
What?
You zoomed out.
I did.
I promise. It was up close, and now it's far.
That's strange because I can't control this when I'm streaming.
telling you.
Yeah, I have no control over the camera while I'm streaming. So I have no idea what the heck's going on.
It's the ghost light.
E40, where you go? So E40. 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 Yeah, E40. Where you go? E40. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, push that E40 on. Go back. Hour. Yep. You wait. 10 minutes. You wait. 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
Oh.
I'm guessing the camera just reset itself for some reason.
Nothing makes me feel younger than trying to work all this camera stuff.
345, 40, 85, no, go back.
Well,
From my own adventures recently, and then I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, I got this. Okay, I got this. I mean, each time it's gotten better, but at the same time, it's. Although I don't know, because Friday I streamed. Like, I did a quick test run. Everything was fine. Didn't buffer. Didn't slow down an ungodly amount. And I didn't change anything. I just don't think it was at this time. I wonder if that's what it is. Oh.
yeah, see, what's weird about that is that I'm actually on a reference. I've got a reference up instead of like it's in front of the camera. So I didn't even have, the camera up at first. Oh, so there's something updating.
Oh. That's always good.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna draw for a minute anyway, because I
We'll
really
see if
can't
we're-
do anything else.
Yeah. I swear we're not normally this technically adept.
Well, he may not be. I make no promises whether I'm technically inept or not. Matter of fact, that's my excuse. I'm pretty well technically inept. It's like I know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I am.
Like like you were saying earlier, you never feel so young as when you try to mess with modern technology, right?
Yeah. Well, what makes me laugh is like I do better than most of the people that I work with, and on the technology front. Okay. There are people that know more than me, whatever. But I would say when it comes to the majority of them, I do better than they do. But yeah, I don't know. I just when I get like the other day, Monday, I was being observed for my evaluation, and I just needed to go in and print off these things I had written up, and I couldn't print. And I spent most of my morning before, and it should have been a nice leisurely lead up to my observation. Instead, I'm scrambling all over, trying to figure out how to get this stupid thing to print. And what that normally is it's the main office messing with settings for whatever reason. And I don't fault them for that, because I don't know everything they know. But I find the most problems I have are because I'm dealing with someone else's network who doesn't trust me the way I trust me. And but man, does it frustrate me.
Does anyone ever trust you the way you trust you? 'Cause no one ever trusts me the way I trust me.
There are people who trust me more than I trust me.
But that's not the way that you trust you, right?
Right, but I'm just saying, when it comes to my computer and my stuff, like I know where all the stuff is on my system. But when I'm playing in their system, I run into problems where they've decided it's a security risk, whereas I would think, sure.
Define security risk.
Well, that's the other thing. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some tech people that work at our building that are amazing, and they bust their humps all the time, and I don't want to disparage them in any way, shape, or form. But there are a couple of them that, and they get to make more decisions than most, and they tend to like to make their jobs easier versus making the technology work better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, doesn't everybody want to make their jobs easier?
Yep. And now your camera's off.
Well, I think the good reason that the camera's off is because it's doing an update, like in the middle of a stream, which is great. Let's see if I can start the camera again. Nope. Yep.
Oh, now you're back.
Yeah, see, it's back where it was.
Yes.
That's so weird. What happened is the software updated. It needed an update, so it minimized, I guess. And now that it's updated, it feels better. So it got what it wanted. Now it'll give me what I want.
Sure, it will.
Ostensibly. It's kind of the word of the day. Now, for those who don't know, these are not necessarily real rats.
See, that's like the best thing to include in our story. The fact that there are weird mutations. So if anything ever looks off, you're like, no, it's a mutation.
Right.
That was intentional, man. It's called artistic flair. Ugh.
That was some artistic flair right there.
Yeah.
I thought it was called artistic license, but okay.
Whatever.
Whatever excuses me from getting it right.
Well, I
if I need
hadn't thought about
excuse.
that. I had thought about that on purpose. I was like, I mean, part of it was,
Yeah, you did.
this will give Rich the opportunity, if he wants to, he can draw all kinds of things. But it's also, if this one I think gets messed up, we'll just say it's a mutation. So I haven't watched him yet because I'm a little wary of doing it anymore because I don't want my feed full of AI crap. But I saw a couple videos pop up where they're like, some AI company was claiming copyright strikes.
Can't.
Well, I don't know.
Nope, they
I didn't
can't.
watch the video. I don't know. So I'm just telling you, whatever the implication is that they made videos using nothing but AI content, and the company that therefore technically made it is saying we own that.
Yep, but they're wrong because you can't copyright AI. The court has already decided that, and that's the best benefit for artists that's out there, is that you can't copyright it. So if you use AI to generate a cover for your comic book or book or whatever, and you release it, then anyone else can use that imagery. It's not specific to you. because you didn't create it. You prompted AI and it created it. So if you tell me, like you have, what you want to have drawn and I do it, I can copyright it because I drew it. Like you can copyright a character, but you can't copyright the way it's represented, like visually represented. That would be, you'd have to trademark that. And if you can't copyright AI, I think it's the same thing with trademarking. But I don't know if there's been a ruling on that yet. So technically that they might be able to get away with it for a short time.
Well,
while there's a window. But I doubt it because there's precedent already. So
yeah, but it sounds like it's the companies that made the AI who are claiming, basically, like you claim copyright over the images that I told you to make. So,
but actually I don't.
Okay.
Like, no, I don't claim copyright over them because I'm not using them. But it wouldn't be a copyright issue anyway. It would be either it would be a trademark issue, really.
Well, I don't know.
The story is a copyright, but here's the problem with that is that the AI company does not generate their own imagery. They are using the imagery of other artists as input to create that image. So if they can say, well, this is my image because I told it to do it, or it's my AI, then the artist can just as well say, no, it's my image because you stole that. So that's why there's been this big movement in book companies. Believe it or not, the big publishers, the big name publishers, are trying to get their authors to sign off on allowing AI to scan their material. Like, that sounds all kinds of corrupt to me.
Yeah.
Because the only reason that you'd want an AI to be able to scan your writer's material is if you don't want to pay the writer to write the material anymore. Like, you're just trying to take their style and emulate it with AI. So, but that's where we are, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a strange place. So, like I said, I didn't watch their videos. I just kind of was scrolling through and thought it was interesting, but I didn't want to.
Well, we'll have to follow this though, because the results will determine whether or not people are going to steal your shit and cut you out of it.
True.
There's been all kinds of movements right now, and there's all kinds of pending suits from people using other artists' work, whether it be writers or fine artists, without their permission. And that's a no-no as well. So, you know, like if they let them get away with it, it's going to be a big fight. I don't know if they actually ended, or if a decision has been made in that suit. But that whole, remember the Screenwriters Guild and the Screen Actors Guild going on strike?
Yeah.
That's what that strike was about, because they were attempting to use AI instead of screenwriters, but using screenwriters' work to fuel that AI. I think it's pretty underhanded anyway. Like they've already got so many ways to defraud people that isn't it would be literally defrauding people anywhere else in the country but California. But in California, they've made it okay to agree to pay off on the back end of movies or whatever, and then claim a loss before the movie's even done and sell it to yourself in a different production company name, so that you can get away with not paying the writer or the artist or the people that you took the source material from. That's why Dave Wolverton always said, if you're dealing with Hollywood, get your money up front. Don't agree to any back end deals, or because like what Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and those guys did with Star Wars to get a percentage of the payoff, that shit wouldn't be happening nowadays because nobody's that honest and they want to do it. I was actually thinking about putting a little section right here where it would be him less than this size crawling this way in a tunnel, just like looking like he's a hamster. Everything else black except for the tunnel that he's crawling through.
Yeah.
To lead you to this panel here, but I don't know. It's a little late now. I've got this rat in here. Somebody posted an article today saying, no, it's not legal to shoot drones down. Like, well, I told you. Told you it's not legal.
Yeah, I didn't say it was legal. I said
No. I'm just saying, like, I said that.
Oh.
I'm not saying you said that it was legal. I'm saying I preempted that stuff. And I'm like, it's not legal.
I also saw later on an article that, or a meme or something about that those drones wouldn't last very long over Texas. I was like, that's what I would think.
Somebody did shoot one down.
Yeah, I heard.
And also, somebody there, they were talking about it. So I was under the understanding that any military base is restricted airspace. You couldn't just go over it and do a flyover, but they're claiming commercial pilots do it all the time, and they're not breaking any laws. So what Trump said was that the government knows what they're doing, knows what the drones are doing, they're just refusing to tell you. So I don't know if we're going to get an answer on that stuff later on, but it's not just somebody flying drones, because if there's thousands of car-sized drones in the air, everywhere from Maine to New Jersey, flying over Air Force bases and military bases, then it's suspect as all hell. It's not just somebody out flying a drone.
Well, I had heard, and this is pure conspiracy, tinfoil hat,
Right, because we have no direct.
I don't have any direct knowledge of this, but
we can be suspect of them.
Well, I had heard or seen or something a theory that said the drones are U.S. drones. That's why they're not a threat to national security. That's why they're so sure they're not a threat to national security. And that the drones are actually looking for the lost nuclear material that
Waste from New Jersey.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, it was nuclear waste. Yeah, they were suspecting it could possibly be a dirty bomb.
Right, but I mean, like, again, this is just conjecture. But the idea was that somehow the drones are there to look for it.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Well, I have no idea. I mean, I really don't. Other than, and especially after the Chinese balloon thing, I just was like, well,
that's one of the reasons that makes me not buy it so easily.
Yeah.
And another one is that there are radio frequency devices that you could point at drones and just take them right out of the sky. So if somebody was literally stealing nuclear waste, I don't know how nuclear waste necessarily would make a dirty bomb, but even if they were, then then they're not going to worry about drones, because if they've got the equipment to steal and maintain nuclear waste or whatever that makes a dirty bomb, then if they can contain that, I'm sure they can come up with an electrical magnetic reaction to send them out of the sky. So I don't know. It's suspect as all hell to me, but there's nothing I can do about it except for, talk. I feel like there are certain things that all we can do is keep people informed of what we know, because when you know that they're trying to suppress the knowledge, you know what I mean? That's the thing that needs to be kept in check. I mean, obviously there might be nefarious purposes or whatever, but I'm not claiming nefarious purpose. I'm just claiming that everybody should know what's going on. And yeah, like I've heard claims that in relation to the Chinese balloons, and now it's not like it's just a couple of drones in the air, So that's the bigger deal, is that it's an entire fleet en masse. And they're also, how many times have you heard, I don't know how many times you've heard, but I've heard it a lot, that they're, no matter how your Second Amendment rights hold up, they've got drones and they could just take you out.
Yeah.
So If that sounds mighty suspect to me, with January coming up and there already being a supposed act against the government, act against the transference of power. So part of me is curious because there's also a theory that Biden is trying to destroy the Republican or the Democratic Party because of the way that he has behaved in this last couple of months. Like even the people that he's pardoning, if you do any research into who he's pardoning,
He doesn't know who he's pardoning.
Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but what I do know is that some of them are. If he really did any kind of research, why would he be doing it? Like, why would you pardon the kids for cash, Judge? Like, of all people.
Because he likes the way they smell.
You know what the kids for cash thing is about, right?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't about like trafficking kids. It was about making kids work as slave labor, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the judge would get a payoff for them working. So, but that's still just as despicable to take first-time offending juveniles and put them on hard labor just so you can take a kickback. That's pretty disgusting, and that judge, and being a judge as well, because if you're a judge, you should be held by a higher standard. That's not supposed to be a political position. It's supposed to be an impartial position. So it's just one of those disgusting things,
Yeah.
And him letting him out like that, it doesn't speak well of, it could very well be what you said, that he just doesn't know what he's doing and somebody else is writing the lists of people that he should be letting out. But
well, when you pardon like 1,500 people in one day, I mean,
do you know what that makes me think? Do you know what that makes me think when you look at the numbers like that?
What?
It makes me think, what are you not wanting people to look at?
Right, like you've buried something in so much crap so that
you're doing something at the same time,
right,
that you don't want people noticing. So, hey, let's pay attention to this.
Yeah, I saw a diagram that showed like the number of presidential pardons and of all time, and Biden is over half of them.
Right.
It's like, wow.
It is. That's a ridiculous number, and some of them are obviously bad. Yeah. Although I'm going to say that there are some people, at least one of them that I know of, that he's. I guess the pardon is just to kind of get something off the dude's record, but he had a bank theft charge, not bank robbery, because there was no violence and stuff in it. But he was an honorable, like, Marine or something like that beforehand. And then afterwards, after he got out of prison, he went into, like, helping people. And he's been focused on helping other people since then. So, like, I think all that he achieved by pardoning him is just to kind of clear his record off. Which, it sucks that somebody who had done so many honorable things ended up doing something dishonorable. There might have been, there might have been extenuating circumstances that he was in a dire place, or I have no idea the details. But he did still break the law. If I break the law, they don't clear my record off.
Nope.
Matter of fact, Trump didn't even break the law.
I know.
I'm sorry, I just had to throw that in there, He's not being forgiven. Though that would be funny. That would be hilarious because they did make comment about you're going to be surprised to, that there's more pardons coming, and then they had that big list. But it would be funny if he pardoned Trump. Especially after saying that they went after Hunter because of it was political. Like, that's so ironic, right?
Right. I'm sorry, but I think if you walked into any police department in the country, if you had my laptop and my laptop had the pictures of me doing the things that Hunter Biden was doing on his laptop, I'd be arrested.
Much, right? Not even that much, right?
No, I'd be arrested. I don't know why.
And everybody would know. And everybody would know what was on that laptop. Everybody.
Yeah.
That is. I mean, like, I don't care who you are. That's still wrong. It's still corrupt. You can't convince me that even the Democrats didn't know that was corrupt. They just didn't care because it was on their side. Which is so ironic. That's another bit of irony, is that how do you not know that that's the wrong side? If that's the case.
Well, if you think that, there are people who really think that Clarence Thomas is trying to get rid of interracial marriage because apparently he hates his wife. It's just okay, sure.
I don't get that shit. Like, I'll accuse them of stuff that are what they're doing. Like, I'll accuse them of hating something that's their lifestyle.
Well, that's just like that publication I told you about the other night. And this guy was like, this doesn't have, like, he basically made some comment about how it was homophobic, or it was full of hate or something like that.
What was homophobic?
The submission call for the married couples, and so I just asked the guy.
Because it's focused on straight married couples is what it is.
Right, but the guy implied that it was a bad sign and all this stuff and full of hate and all this stuff. He didn't say homophobic right away.
Right, just implied it.
But I asked them, so all those LGBTQ plus targeted submission calls, do they show something hateful and shady as well? Because, if you're going to say you can't have a straight couple only publication, then you shouldn't be able to have a gay couple only publication.
Right. I mean, that's equal. That's equality.
Yeah.
And like I've said for a long time, people aren't searching for equality. It's not because there's inequality. They're searching for revenge. Searching to, like, take something from somebody who had it on the upside for a long time, which is bullshit, because everyone that's had it on the upside, pretty much, has had it on the downside a time or two themselves. Like, it's a matter of how far you have to go back in the past.
Well, what's stupid about some of these publications, though, is that, okay, they say that, we need representation. And it's like, okay, you need representation. So you're going to exclude people blatantly in the name of representation. And it's getting to be so bad that, like, we looked at those lists of awards the other day, and it was like, there hadn't been a guy that had won the award in, 10, 15 years. And it's like, you're telling me that that guys just stopped writing quality fiction? And like, no, it's just it's some of the most exclusionary practices ever are going to be found in the arts. I'm sorry, you just find people who are happy to exclude, and they exclude people who don't like. They're not excluding Brandon Sanderson. You know what I mean? Like, he's made his money.
Well, that's why they're not excluding him, is because, well, first of all, Brandon is he supports all that, but he also, yeah, is a bestseller. So if they did, they'd be cutting their own throats, shooting themselves in the foot, so to speak. But they did that with George Martin, so
I'm just saying,
maybe they knew that he wasn't going to finish.
When they act like somehow I had an in on publishing because I was born, the way I was born, and somehow that gives me an advantage, so I should be excluded from things. It's like I guarantee there is no advantage in the publishing world being straight white male. None.
Not anymore. Like, even if there was.
Yeah, it ain't that way now. And they're the set aside programs that they have are in my opinion, they have overstayed their intended purpose, and you're just trying to exclude people based on their the color of their skin or their
Gender,
sexual orientation.
Not trying to. They're doing it.
Oh yeah. They're just flat out doing it.
That's the thing, right? Is that they haven't been trying to, they've been doing that, and for no other reason than inclusivity, supposedly.
Well,
how is it inclusive to exclude? You can't win fair and square, so we're just going to let you win. And validates all those people who work for it. There's a tattoo competition that does that as well. It's an all-woman competition. Like, you guys can't even work at the show, So, basically, they're saying that...
I bet you there are guys working that show.
Well, nowadays, maybe they just don't call themselves guys, but...
Yeah, and they'll win Best of Show, and...
Probably not. So, the main difference is that's art-based, so it's not physical or whatever. But the thing that gets me is, like I said, is that when I got into tattooing originally, some of the people that inspired me to get into tattooing were women. They were art teachers that became tattoo artists, and it convinced me that it was a viable way to make money with art. That would not have happened if it wasn't for those women. But those women, when there's an all-woman tattoo show, it just invalidates all that hard work that those women put in through all those years. And they went through a lot of bullshit to get there. So that's the thing that really sucks, is because those people that worked that much harder to get there, are now witnessing people just getting it handed to them. Like, I don't think even guys that win tattoo shows just have it handed to them. Like, I never had anything handed to me. Like, I fought and worked for everything that I had. Matter of fact, I lost out to tattoos that I should have beaten, and that, instead of giving me the mentality that it's never going to be fair and I'm never going to win, gave me the mentality that I'm going to prove them wrong and I'm going to win. So I tend to think that a lot of that mentality gets brushed aside when you just baby everybody's bumps and bruises, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna get tougher. You're not gonna fight for it. You're not gonna. Why? Because you don't have to. Like I fully support anyone fighting for it. You know, like I don't care. I don't care what your proclivities are. Whatever you do at home is your business, right?
I would hope.
And I don't care what color somebody's skin is. Obviously, I have family that have multicolors. I don't give a shit. That's not something I make my judgments on. That's not criteria for me. But every single one of us and them took their hard knocks to get there. They had to get tougher skin. Learn that it doesn't necessarily matter what somebody else thinks as long as you know the truth. That's part of growing up, right? Is that
Well, a lot of them don't want to grow up. So
well, and that's valid, and that's what I'm saying. I guess kinda is that you're not gonna grow up if nobody makes you grow up. Like I hate the term I don't want to adult today as if it's a verb. Like you can't choose to. You're either an adult or not. You're gonna do some shit that a kid can get away with. You're gonna find out really quickly that you're not a kid.
Well,
Especially if especially if you get busted. But
there was
to have that mentality that you can just stop being an adult because I don't want to grow up.
well, there
Don't
was a
have
guy at
kids,
work.
don't have sex, don't drink, Go ahead.
There was this guy at work. He was complaining because he had called home because kid wasn't doing anything and was just tearing up the room and all kinds of stuff. And this is a 7th grade class. So we're talking 12, 13, 14 years old, somewhere around there. And the parents were like, well, yeah, you need to treat them like children. They're still children. Treat them like a child. And it's like, I would have been pissed as hell at that age if you told me you were going to treat me like a child. And these parents want it. It's like, oh, so when do they grow? You think when they turn 18, the next day, they're an adult? Like, when do you think they ever become an adult? Like,
How do
Yeah.
you become an adult?
and that's, that was a new one on me, which granted, I haven't been in this grade level for a while, but my goodness. I mean, I get that they are kids. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're full grown adults, but at the same time, when you say treat them like children, well, they're teenagers. Like in some countries, they'd be in the army already. So I think asking them to write 4 sentences shouldn't, be too much to ask. But that's what happens.
They asked us to write 4 sentences in 3rd grade.
Oh, I cannot understand how much we were writing when I was in school versus how little they write. And
Right?
it is ridiculous just how much they complain, and parents are just, oh, they don't really need to write. Like, okay, fine, whatever, sure they don't.
I thought you said treat them like children.
The biggest problem with education.
They told me to treat them like children. I'd be up the next day with a set of fucking diapers.
Well,
your mom says we should treat you like little ones. So
well, it's just all the people who are held responsible have the least control over any of it. So, it's just like, okay, your child is going to act like a little terror because you won't discipline them because you got to treat them like a child. And you think that somehow, and then later on when they're older, you'll blame the schools for not disciplining your kid. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. And my problem with all of it really is it's just a few kids who do it, but it makes it worse for everybody else. And I don't think that's fair to the kids whose parents, raise them right. And, they're there for an education and they got to deal with the circus. Yep.
It's definitely not fair. Not at all.
Well, I still think,
it's not fair for them to actually drop their kids off for you to raise either.
Well, I kind of think it would be better if you got a child tax credit based off of your child's attendance. That way, you're not punishing anybody if they're absent for however many reasons. Who cares, whatever. But you are rewarding the ones who get their kids there. And then I would also have another tax credit for good grades. That way, when a kid says, I don't want to do anything, and you call home and you say, hey, I just want you to know, you're not going to get that tax credit because your kid won't do anything. Some of those parents may actually decide that there's some motivation. Now, maybe not, but, trying to do something right now, parents don't care. Well, some parents don't care. Lots of parents do. Lots of kids do. The majority of them do. It's just that, it's kind of hard to focus on the positive sometimes when you just have a kid who comes into every single class and puts his head down. And you call home, they're like, yeah, he doesn't like school. There's nothing we can do. Oh, okay.
He's going to love paying bills.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not paying his bills, so.
No, I'm saying, like, you're talking about, well, I don't, he doesn't like school. Well, do you like paying bills?
I don't know.
Do you like having to go to work? Do you like.
Well, then they sit there and they say things like, well, I get paid to go to work. They don't get paid to go to school. And it's like, you're right. That's why we shouldn't have free education. We should make you pay for it. One of my students was complaining about the local private school, which she recently attended, and she was talking about how they had to pay money every month for them to go to school. And I was like, you also know that school got paid the same amount from the state to have you there as we get paid to have you here. So not only was that school getting paid by the state the same way we do, they're then charging your parents extra. And I was like, and then you went there. I was like, did they have better facilities than we do? Oh, no. They have better textbooks? Oh, no. Were their teachers better? No. Was their technology better? Oh, we didn't really have any. I'm like, okay, so where'd all that money go? Yeah. That's what I like about private education. They want vouchers, and then they still want to charge.
not a sponsor.
But it could be.
Did
I think you're allergic to it.
you hear me sneeze?
Why, yes.
That's weird because I just muted my mic.
Well, I heard it.
That's weird. Sorry, I muted my
It
mic.
was either the loudest sneeze in the history of the world.
Well, I literally muted my mic. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me right now.
Yes, I can hear you right now.
I just turned off my mic, so that's weird.
Well, I
turned on my mic.
Well, try muting yourself on StreamYard.
Well, yes, I understand, but if my mic is what's going through to StreamYard and I mute the mic, it's supposed to mute the input. Like, I had time to tap the bottom of my mic to mute my mic. I didn't have time to go all the way over there to find my mouse to click the mute. It did it again. Look at that.
Yep.
I just happened to see it this time because I've got my reference picture over the chat.
It's the ghost light or camera. I don't know.
That's just weird. I don't know why it's doing that.
Neither do I.
No, this is some weird stuff, in multiples. Let me see. I'm gonna minimize you for a minute.
Oh, I see how it is.
Well, I can hear you.
Okay. Read it. Okay. So you. Okay. No, I thought you were minimizing me on the stream. I was like. Oh, okay.
No, you already did that.
Okay.
So I'm connected to the integrated webcam and connected to this one.
Well, you shrank.
Did that do anything?
Well, yeah, it zoomed in and out.
It zoomed in and out?
Yeah, and now it zoomed in even more.
Okay, because I just zoomed in. I didn't zoom out. Let's see what happens when it kicks back to wherever it wants to be.
Okay.
Yeah, because I went to the control. Yeah, I went to the 𝕄𝔸𝕊𝔋𝕀𝔽𝔽 so that I could tune the camera. And I scrolled in, but it doesn't show me a preview because I'm using the camera. For some reason, it doesn't show me a preview while I'm using the camera.
Don't know.
I don't get what that's about because there's another Logitech system that does, but you don't have the same abilities. So it's just weird. I don't think I like this technology shit.
It is what it is. Sorry.
Not very helpful sometimes. Not very helpful sometimes.
Yeah. It's great when it works. Technology is, a slightly better version of communism. Because, it occasionally actually works. And it will make your life better. Whereas communism only works in theory.
Oh no, it's not a chill stream anymore. Oh,
Oh, because it's creepy now?
yeah, because it's anxiety.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so the other day I was.
ever since hearing that, I just want to have a clip of the song for high anxiety.
The other day I had sold my prep to cover for another teacher on his because he was absent and they didn't have enough subs. And they come to my room, which is cool, and I don't know what the deal was, but I don't have any lesson plans, nothing. I was just, okay, whatever. So basically, I'm babysitting for 45, 50 minutes. And I'm like, I don't, they're like, where do we sit? I'm like, I don't care. Sit, whatever. Just, be chill. Just, I don't think that, I don't have any lesson plans for you. I don't have any sub plans. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why the guy's gone. I don't know. I'm just here to supervise.
So you got to be the coolest teacher ever for a day, huh?
Well, no, because then they got all pissy about it, and they're like, because they start playing on their iPads and their phones and stuff, which I don't care if they're on their phones. When I'm not like, technically, it's illegal in the state if I'm giving instruction for them to have their phones out unless I tell them they can't. And but I was like, I don't care if you have your phones out because I'm not teaching anything. Like, you're fine. I just don't want to hear it. Well, then they kept getting louder and louder and louder, and they were playing music louder and louder and louder. And so I got tired of telling them to knock it off because they just wouldn't stop. So I played music on my speakers, which are much louder than any phone's going to have. And I put on some Working Man by Rush. They're like, that's too loud, turn that off. Because it's an urban school. They don't do 70s rock all that much. And so I turned it down and I was like, if you don't want to listen to my music, don't make me listen to yours. And it was pretty quiet for the rest of the hour. Like, I didn't care if they talked. I didn't care if they were playing games. I don't care if they listen to music with headphones. It's when they insist on being so loud that I have to hear it all. It's like, nope, nope, nope. Did you see that thing about the attempt to sell the parts of the border wall?
Which attempt?
Well, what Biden's doing now, apparently.
Oh yeah, he's like for 3 days. Actually, Trump pleaded with him to not do that.
Well,
but then there are those of us that suspect that Elon Musk or Trump is actually just buying that wall at auction, and then they're going to just turn it over for that same price to the government.
Right, but to me, I don't care what you think.
I got to pull the headphones for a second, so I won't be able to hear you. Just a minute.
Okay.
had to get a circle template. I don't know if that's going to be big enough. No, it's not. All right, now you were saying
that even if Biden sells the border wall at a massive loss, it's not going to stop Trump from building a border wall.
right.
All you're doing is wasting taxpayer money. And I'm sorry, you lost the election. Like, so what? You're going to just waste the money? And that just shows you right there what kind of government that is. When you're so petty that when you lose, you will waste resources just because, well, I'm going to throw a temper tantrum so that this costs more. Oh, great. It's not going to stop the construction.
So the question really is, who's going to remember in 4 years what this shit's going on? Because the press is going to bury it.
No, that's true.
And I'm not, I'm not disputing you. Actually, I'm agreeing with you completely. But it's this matter of disgusting crap that the media feeds us. Like, by the time that the next election comes up, people will have forgotten what it was like just before Trump took office, unless we redouble our efforts to remind everybody. I think Charlie Kirk has done a really good job with that as well, going to campuses and talking to students and showing them the truth versus what they're hearing on the mainstream media. But I'm wondering also if media will have evolved to all podcasts by then. It feels kind of like the move to streaming services from networks.
Yeah.
And I know that there are networks still out there, but the NFL's on streaming services now instead of the regular networks as much. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a trend. Like, so we're not reliant on media that's approved by anyone per se, right? We're reliant on ourselves to make the judgment or to do the research to check more than one source, right?
Right.
I kind of hope that that's the way it is, to be honest with you. Is we've gotten so lazy that we've relied on other people telling us how we should act or think, and it's pretty disgusting. And it's so obvious in this election that was the process, right?
Yeah.
Because they're still denying the facts. I did not intend to do one tier as a half page. But I really like the idea of doing this pose, or most of this pose. I was looking at my original reference for the Mastiff, the actual dog reference. It's like a Mastiff attacking, and I was like, that's that's the feel that I want to kind of get across in that. I think I'm coming down with a cold or something. I'm gonna have to take a cough drop in a second here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to go anywhere. I have a whole bunch in my pocket, but and then I've got to sharpen my pencil yet again. Curse of being a penciler. Sounds like you can make a country song around it. So I managed to get almost another 500 words in on that chapter.
Yeah.
Before I ended it, and started thinking that I feel like I'm rushing some things.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'm using that term loosely because it's not so much rushing, it's missing observations that could help immerse the reader. So that's the reason I got all those extra words in there, because I'm like, I think Jeffrey needs some of his own observations and life experiences coming through. And I realized that when we were talking about what it takes to make a strong female character, right?
Okay.
Nobody actually says that about male characters. It's the same thing. I mean, the same things make them both strong characters. They have to have friends and lives outside of it, right? I mean, I'm not saying that's limited to, but so that's part of what I got to thinking about is who does Jeffrey know outside of the story?
See, I wonder if the supposedly strong female character really shouldn't just be female character with agency. And because if it's a major character, every major character generally should have agency. And this idea that a strong female character literally means strong and that she can,
right,
she can overcome any physical combat situation because she's a strong female character. That's just stupid.
Yeah, that's actually not how it's meant, or at least when I was earlier in my writing.
When you were a young warthog.
Earlier in my writing, and I had a few women explain it to me.
Oh.
That it doesn't mean that they are like She-Hulk. It means that they have friends and lives and like.
That's just a well-rounded character.
Exactly, that's what they mean. They mean strong character. You know what I mean? Like, they mean strong characterization and yeah, a well-rounded, well-drawn character.
I think there's some, because I think you can have a well-rounded character that doesn't necessarily have agency. I still think agency is something that they want in a strong female character.
I guess I don't know what you're referring to as agency then, because
As in, they're able to affect the story. Their decisions matter. Um, they're not just reacting. They're not just.
but that's no different than a strong character.
See, I think you can have a strong character that's. It depends on what the purpose of the character is. You may have a strong character though that is secondary. Say like a foil. It's a strong character, but their agency is not as strong because they're not the one in charge of the story, and and that's why I think when they say strong female character, they really want someone whose decisions matter. Kind of that, that Brechtel test. I think that's how you say it. Brechtel, something. You know what I'm talking about? I'll look it up.
Oh,
There's a test. Yeah, it's the Bechdel test. And or Bechdel-Wallace test, whatever. I don't know. And it has basically some simple rules. That a work must feature at least 2 female characters. The 2 women must have a conversation with each other. The conversation cannot be about something. The conversation must be something about something other than a man.
right. But that's what I'm saying is like they're talking about friendships and relationships. So your friend, if you're a woman, chances are your best friend's not going to be a guy. I mean, it could be, but chances are not really. So that's who you would be talking to. But what they're saying is that, yeah, it's not the predictable woman conversation. That's what it is. Actually, I was watching one of those Charlie Kirk videos, and this woman was arguing that she was arguing for affirmative action because
She's a woman.
men designed seatbelts, not women, and because men designed the seatbelts, not women, it causes women to get hurt in car accidents, which is absolute shit. Unless they're wearing that seatbelt like in a place that a man wouldn't, because we cross our torsos as well, right? So, but anyway, he was saying that women tend to think on a micro level and men to think naturally on a macro level. And it's not that there are not exceptions to the rules before the argument pops up that there are exceptions to the rules, because that's not what he's saying. But that the commonality, the more often found, is that if you're kind of listen to women talking at lunch, they're going to be talking about things that they want to shop for, men, other experiences that they have in common. And that's pretty much right? That's like that whole nothing box thing when women don't want you to give them answers. They want you to just listen to whatever they say. And and guys will only tell you their problem is if somebody can, if they think that somebody can give them an answer or help them with the problem, they're not just going to run out and talk, because women find relief in talking. So it's interesting that their criteria is they can't talk about a man, when 90% of the time that if you find two women at lunch talking, they're going to be talking about a TV show or a man. Right?
Or a man on a TV show.
Well, you know, or other women, you know, that I have never heard men bitch about other men the way women bitch about other women. I mean, again, there are exceptions to the rules, but for the most part, like, women hate other women. Like, they could be best friends and they hate them at sometimes. You know, they're just, I don't know, I don't get it. Guys can be enemies and just leave it alone. I don't want to talk about them. That's, you know, it's not true 100% of the time, and there's always, you know, that one motherfucker that you just want to strangle, right? But
Not me, I'm a
women,
pacifist.
but women, but women seem to have that one bitch that they don't want to strangle.
That's terrible. Oh.
Like, it's an overgeneralization, but like if you're truly writing characters to be strong and represent a man or a woman, then you're gonna have to have certain things there. Like, guys generally talk about politics and talk about major things, like the things on a higher level, because they're not thinking about what's small and what you have to deal with day to day as much as what's gonna make the overall of life better, right? So, or what we think will. Like, I'm not claiming that only men can either, but it's a
right,
generalization.
but if you look at political pundits, they tend to be male. Now, there are some female ones, but obviously they tend to be male.
Right.
It's not a big thing.
But if you're writing true, strong female characters because you want to write characters that are believable women, then there are going to be those. And, you know, here's an interesting factor, because we're working on comics right now. How many of the new comic books that are written by women aren't driven by the characters' relationships? So they're not necessarily talking about another guy, but they're talking about their girlfriend. But it's the same thing. It's just you change the sex.
Well, okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because
Lobo's daughter, issue number 1. What's that about?
I don't know.
Well, it starts off with her kicking aliens' asses for no particular reason.
Okay.
And then she realizes that her girlfriend's birthday party is going on.
Oh, yeah.
So, So she rushes to her girlfriend's birthday party, and then her girlfriend gets mad at her because she was out protecting the world instead of showing up for her birthday party. Does that sound like girl's relationship problems to you? Just switching it out, guy for girl?
What do they always say Spider-Man's big draw was? The thing that set him apart from everybody else.
Oh, hold on a second.
Okay.
Dog.
Le dog. Oh, camera moved. Got my white middle class dad moves going on. If anyone wants to know if I can dance, I've just told you. No.
You can do the Trump shuffle.
Anyway, yeah. All I'm saying, I agree with you in principle, and I have no problem. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm assuming it's a matter of degree, because Spider-Man, Stan Lee was always proud of the fact that Spider-Man had, real teen anxiety and angst and problems because he was poor and, he was a nerd and blah, blah, blah. And it's not necessary. I mean, which is funny because I never thought of it that way. I thought, oh, Green Goblin's cool. Oh, look, he's fighting the Green Goblin. Yay! But Stan Lee argued that it was the more about the relationships and the drama outside of the costume.
Yeah, whatever. Stanley was full of shit. That's the first thing you should know. Like, don't get me wrong, he was a great personality and did a lot for comic books, but if you know anyone that knows him, you know that he was full of shit. Spider-Man was really basically made by Steve Ditko. Steve Ditko drew the whole entire issue, and then Stan Lee would come along and put words in it.
Right.
So what the fuck is he talking about?
I don't know.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit. So, I mean, yes, you want drama. You gotta create a certain amount of drama, but like, who was it that said? They were saying DC are fun comic books. They're about having fun. Nobody expects them to be real or believable. The only dark character you got, really dark character, is Batman, and he wasn't even dark until Frank Miller got a hold of him, right? Literally, when Frank Miller got a hold of him, he was looking out of the panel at the reader telling you not to smoke because it's bad for you. What? So Frank Miller's like, no, he watched his parents die. He's not going to be this happy-go-lucky guy.
He's not Superman.
So for the most part, all of DC's comic heroes are kind of goofy. They're not believable. They're aliens. They're just not really believable. They may. I'm not arguing like whether Superman is something to aspire to be or something like that. I'm just saying they're not necessarily believable. And then on the other hand, all of Marvel's characters have Jewish guilt. So it's like different paradigms for the comic books. So yeah, of course, he's gonna feel guilty and worry about Aunt May and all this other shit. But the whole thing wasn't just Aunt May and Uncle Ben, but he also, when he came home at night and laid up the costume, had a life. But that's a strong character, right? You have a life outside of it. But when his life consisted of Mary Jane, because he married Mary Jane, was anybody saying, oh, he has to be a strong character, he has to have friends that he talks about other stuff with outside of the costume?
Well, no, because he talked to lots of people about fighting. Oh wait, outside of the costume. Sorry.
Right, in the costume, but that's the thing. So I mean, but when I bring up the whole Lobo thing, it's because it's the women that telling us that a woman can't just hold a conversation about a guy or about jewelry or about whatever. Why not, if that's what they're doing? Like, but in that whole Lobo example, that's exactly what she was doing. You just replace your boyfriend for your girlfriend. It's still the same thing. So I'm not condemning it. I'm just noticing or pointing out the observation that it's kind of a fallacy. Like that's not the expectation for both parties equal. It's only guys that are writing girls, because when girls are writing girls, they can do anything they want because girls know who girls are, right?
Yeah, they know what guys are.
That's the feeling that I get, is that, you know, a girl can write anything with women. Women, they can't go wrong writing a woman because they're women. But
Yeah, that they can't go wrong writing a man either.
well,
Like,
yeah,
we understand men, but you don't understand women. Oh, okay.
I'm not saying it's correct.
Yeah,
I'm saying that that's the prevailing theory, is that a guy can't write women without being condescending towards women. Instead of them just saying, I'd like to see a full-rounded character, right? Instead of them saying, I'd like to see a character that's more involved in the decision-making, or that's a more important part of the team than just being Scott Summers' girlfriend, which actually Jean Grey did turn out to be an important part of the team, and then a big enemy, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, I think it's faulty that they represented that way, that like a guy couldn't write a woman character to be a realistic woman character. The thing is that you're talking about a medium, or what medium are you talking about, right?
right.
So if you're talking about a novel, you got a lot more room to play, don't you? I mean, why wouldn't you be able to write about her personal life and write about whatever the actual situation is, as long as it doesn't take away from the plot? But I think that's the perfect example of what I was talking about with what Charlie Kirk was saying, because when guys write stories, they think about the big problem. They don't think about the little stuff. I mean, when they're thinking about little stuff, and when we're thinking about little stuff, it's not all these relationship things, unless we're forced into thinking about these relationship things. 90% of the time, we're thinking about what advances the plot, what strengthens the character within the plot, right? You can't. Right. It's not that you can't have friends outside of the plot, or that they can't have friends in the past or whatever. But unless they're relevant to the story, why would you get in depth on it, right? So I think that that's one of the major misconceptions, is that guys are really confused about what girls say they want, because the way they're saying it isn't really clear. Either that, or they're purposely obfuscating it, which, you know, women wouldn't do. So I don't think that you're limited to write a man or a woman because you're a man or a woman, any more than I think you're limited to write current day things, unless you're a scientist that knows what the next big breakthrough is going to be, or unless you're a historian that actually knows every detail about the past. You can write about whatever interests you. So I think that that's faulty. If you wanna point my stuff out and go, that's a little weak, I would like to see a little bit, you know, more on this subject or whatever. That's fair, but don't tell me I have to, because not all people are going to agree with what you said. And in the end, only I have to agree with it, right? If I don't agree with it, then whatever, I'm not going to do it.
Yep.
Who decides ultimately what your story is going to be like? Don't you?
Me. Yep.
Don't you have the final say whether or not you agree with somebody's opinion? And that's, I guess that's the long and the short of what I'm saying, is that you can tell me your opinion, and I would probably gonna take your opinion into to account, into consideration. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to just go with what you say. Like I might see what your opinion is and say, okay, that's a legitimate gripe, but also it's a legitimate gripe for a different story. You know, it may not fit what's going on with my story.
Good, Daddy? All right.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Because then somehow.
Okay, I will be right back.
All right. And for a few minutes, we won't make asses of ourselves. Publicly. Maybe. Most likely. Yes, I'm sharpening my eraser.
I'm back.
Hey.
My midstream stretch was a little late.
Ah.
People
I
were
thought
getting
it had
ready to
some-
go to bed, and I was scared if someone decided to take a shower or something.
Oh, I thought it had something to do with Fabius, because that's whose name I heard.
Well, that's what I thought too. That's what initially started it. And I was like, so anyway. Apparently, Thaddeus is good. That's all I know.
Good at what?
What? I don't know.
Good at what? You don't know.
Well,
Well, if you don't know, who knows?
well, I mean, there are lots of things he's good at, but
Well, I'm sure glad you're inking this.
oh.
And you're like, that never gets old.
Well, you know. We'll see. We'll see how quickly that happens.
Guess it depends on how quickly we want to sell this thing.
Yep. I think it comes on, do you want to sell the thing?
In case you haven't figured it out, what I don't want to do is ink the thing.
So what you're saying is you want to eat the thing.
Oh. Don't you start listening like Eli.
Ah.
She just gonna cough again.
Yep. Always does.
Did you know that Arthur Conan Doyle, you know what I'm talking about, obviously,
Yeah.
was a bodybuilder for a short time?
No, I did not know that.
Yep, he is taking. I'm trying to remember the guy's last name. His first name is Eugene. It was like the first bodybuilder was a strongman that they had. Britain actually commissioned them to chisel a statue of his body because it was representative of the perfect white male body.
Okay.
It was, like 1880s, 1890s, something like that. It was, but talking Arthur Conan Doyle,
Right.
but he was, I guess, 39, and he measured himself. He's got an entry in his diary, and it's like he weighed so much in his pants and waistcoat. But he decided that he wanted to get fit because he was getting older, and bought this guy's weightlifting plan, which was really weird. I mean, there was a dumbbell. It's like a five-pound dumbbell or something like that you had to squeeze together to lift. So it was like cut in half long ways, even though not detached. So you had to squeeze it together and then lift. And it wasn't even really 5 pounds. It's just weird. He also got someone off of a murder charge. Went and joined the Doctors Corps in the Boer War,
Okay.
which is before World War One. Was in South Africa, and he kept a journal there. There's a lot of horrors that he saw after he killed off Sherlock Holmes. Like, nobody wanted to read his stuff. Like, and they would give him backhanded compliments. Like, he was a big fan of Robert Louis Stevenson. And Robert Louis Stevenson said that he read Sherlock Holmes, and it was just the type of thing that he liked to read when he had a toothache. Yeah. So he sent him a historical fiction book that he had written that wasn't well received. They were like, "Oh, this is just run of the mill kids adventure," but it's called The White Company, which actually is a real historical company. And he did a lot of research for that novel, and they just broke his heart over it pretty much. He had the same problem, I guess, that Stephen King did, if you think about it. Like Stephen King in his early books was bitching about nobody accepting him as a real writer or literary writer. He was always that guy that wrote F-bombs or whatever. But that's actually what he was. I don't know why, but these guys wrote popular fiction. They're known for writing popular fiction. They're like better known than some of the non-popular fiction writers. And they've definitely made more money than some of these non-popular fiction writers. What's your bitch? I don't know, maybe it's something, maybe I'm deficient in some way, but if I wrote a character that meant so much to everybody that they got disappointed that the fictional character died a fictional death, that's a win, right?
You'd think, but some people aren't going to be happy. But I mean, some of the literary comments that people had, that like the stuff people called Poe, like they called him like the Jingle Man and all this stuff, and just thought his writing was for like 13-year-olds and stuff. And
and that's what they were making. They were making fun of Doyle for writing Holmes because of it was like, oh, he's just a cheap imitation of Poe, because Poe was insulted at the time, but then he was a genius later on.
Yeah, and he also invented the detective story.
Yeah, well, and that's what they were talking about, is that he was a cheap imitation of Poe's detective story. But it wasn't. I mean, obviously Sherlock Holmes was a completely original character. There was no cheap imitation in it. It's just that at the time they didn't consider that serious. Ironically, it's like, for how long did they not consider science fiction and fantasy serious fiction, right? It's the same type of thing. Like, now it's different because you've seen like George Martin, and you've seen Robert Jordan become almost, well, Robert Jordan didn't quite become a household name, but George Martin did, So because you got a few boosted names in there, and there's a whole lot more added respect, but it's just interesting that it's like they're comparing like apples to oranges and saying that apples aren't worth anything if they're not oranges. Like, yeah, it's not Tolstoy, but Tolstoy wasn't even happy with Tolstoy. So, whatever. I think it's a lot of that's so subjective. But I just don't understand how you can not be happy with making millions. Stephen King's worth $500 million, and he's whining that he didn't sell enough for Fairy Tale or whatever. Fuck off. Really. You've had 17 versions of the same fucking movie made, and you get paid for each one of those versions. Where are you being mistreated?
Oh, yeah, there's
where are you losing out?
There's another Stephen King movie coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? Let's see if it's 2025. The Monkey. Yeah, Monkey.
What's that?
They're making there's a new Stephen King movie coming out next year called The Monkey.
Yeah, it's from Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I think I saw something on it, and I'm wondering if it's an anthology movie, like Cat's Eye was.
Let's see. Doesn't look like it. Seems to have one plot. And apparently, The Running Man is also being remade for next year.
That's the one that I heard. I knew about that.
That's one of those movies that, to me, you should be able to remake because the original film was so different than the story that if you just stayed true to the story, it's a wildly different film.
Yeah, I don't know if I care enough, so, you know. Like, I'm not trying to be insulting. I have no real interest in Stephen King stuff anymore. Like, there are two movies that I watch every time that I see them on.
Yeah.
And they're both prison movies. Like I said, they're both prison movies.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, oh yeah, Christine, even Cujo, which is a bad movie. So yeah, like I don't know. I can't muster much excitement for, watching a remake of something that's already been done. I didn't bother going to see it in the theater. Don't care. I really liked the original version, the made for TV movie version.
Yeah.
I think they chose really good cast members to be who they were.
Okay.
Like I'm saying that I wouldn't have necessarily gone for those particular cast members, but they did seem like they're the grown-up versions of innocent kids, right?
Okay.
No?
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just
Well, I mean, the way you said okay, it was like maybe you were.
Nope.
But like that, to me, it was like it had a really good feel to it between the soundtrack and the chemistry of the actors, and I'm never gonna find somebody that I think is gonna do a better job than Tim
Curry.
Yeah, Tim Curry as Pennywise. He just added something to the role that, I mean, it was kind of there in the book, but it was much more because Tim Curry was there. and dug in to get that. At least in my opinion.
Well, I always liked his. I've always liked his performance in that. I always thought it was great.
Okay, I didn't think that it needed to be remade.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of it too, because I didn't think it needed to be remade, and then he had a stroke, and I'm like, you're just kind of dissing that shit. And you know, the same guy that was filling his shoes, trying to refill his shoes, is the same guy that tried to fill Brandon Lee's shoes in The Crow. Like, okay, so he did an alright job in Hemlock Grove because those books sucked, and it needed somebody needed to do a good job with that. But I didn't particularly find him as something that no other actor could have, done.
Okay.
And I'm kind of like that when especially when it comes to redoing movies. It's like, if you're gonna remake a movie, it should be better than the original. And if it's not better than the original, then you just wasted your money. And The Crow, they changed a lot of it, changed the motivation of it, they changed the whole point behind it. I'm surprised that James O'Barr didn't have anything to say about that, considering the fact that he wrote that story to deal with the death of his girlfriend, and that Brandon Lee actually fought to get it returned as close to the comic as it came back to. And then they redo it. God, obviously he's making all kinds of money from it because that's his baby. But it's the bad guy, the good guy. There's none of the original story to it, really. The one thing that they did do that I saw was that the person that played Shelley in the original movie was a Canadian singer.
Okay.
So they did pick a singer or performer, I don't know if it was rap or singer, to play Shelley in the new movie, but now it's more about being a mixed couple than what it was about story-wise. I don't know. That whole aspect of there being a hell and all that shit in it, which there wasn't in the original story, wasn't in the original source material. I don't know. I have this thing with feeling that they should try to stick as close to the original source material as they can. And I don't know, again, if it's just me, but if somebody was making, this, I'd want them to stick to what we went back and forth so much over to get, It just doesn't seem right otherwise. Like, we fought over some stupid shit on this. And, it's not the point of fighting over the stupid shit, but it's the point of, that is part of the trek we had to take to get here. And if you invalidate that fight or what we did, it wouldn't feel like the same thing to me. That's like, I don't really want to work on this if we're not working on it together, because the point is for us to work on it together.
Alright.
It's like Ninja Turtles, right?
What's like Ninja Turtles?
Well, there was a pair of them that created it,
Oh, okay.
and they like one of them, I don't remember which one, sold the rights to it to the other one. Like, I don't think I'd want to do that. I mean, this is if we can't hang together to make this whole thing, it's just lost because I'm not giving up all that I did. Why would you give up all that you did? Right?
Huh? Okay. Makes sense to me.
I've told you all along. I feel like this project's ours. I mean, we've had disagreements on stuff.
Yeah.
But ultimately, given some time, I think mostly me come back around to it. I think you're a lot more open to changes. I think maybe you feel like you came in late or something, but we did this together. I may have come up with a name or an image or whatever, but you're the one that came up with the story. I just embellish here and there. I have thought of some other embellishments. I've been thinking about having him have a growl.
A what?
A growl.
Oh, okay.
Like a sound effect, a growl, an intentional growl sound effect that might scare off lesser creatures or, lesser bad guys. You were talking about having him bite something.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, why wouldn't you have that kind of effect?
I don't know.
I mean, if everything else about, your... I keep saying suit, but it's really an alternate body, right? That's kind of part of the realm, is that there's a shell. A casing, maybe. So there's lots of places for words here. Now the question is, do we give him an AI to argue with, to talk to, or is it a communications thing?
I don't know. The AI is a better idea, I think.
Both of them have potential, but I just thinking, we didn't really discuss it. It's a big panel. It's not yawning big.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha.
Okay, so this is a big ass panel with not a lot going on in it. So that means you've got to fill this area with words. And maybe like maybe a caption box here, but there's a lot of area for words, so.
No more, Mom. So they were. So they were.
So my younger son wants to take a day over over Christmas break. I think we can do it over Christmas break. Make sure about that. Oh, nope, won't be able to do that. He wants to watch the 28 days and then the 28 weeks later movie, so he can then watch the 28 years later. So that doesn't come out until June.
Has he seen the other ones?
No, so he wants to watch them. But I think his plan was to watch all three in one day.
Not over Christmas break.
Yeah, I was like, it's not going to happen. I'm sure I can find the first two. And my biggest complaint about the second one is that it's not any better than the first. That doesn't mean it's a bad movie, though. It's just like, yep. That's
Did
still
you
fun.
expect the sequel to get better?
No, but it's a really good. I mean, it's actually a really good sequel. It's just the first one's just so good. It's like, well, did I really need 28 weeks later?
Right.
And it's like,
So that being said, there are at least two movies that I like sequels to better than the original.
yeah, what's that?
Star Wars,
Okay,
A New Hope, the sequel to Empire Strikes Back.
right.
I like Taken 2 better than Taken 1 or Taken 3.
Okay,
That's the one
not a
where
common
he-
opinion.
It's the one where his daughter gets kidnapped. I like that one better. It might be Taken 3, but I think it's Taken 2.
I thought his daughter got taken in the first one.
Nope. That was his wife, wasn't it?
No, his daughter and her friend go to some other foreign country.
That's... Wait a minute.
That's the first one.
Did they take his daughter in the third one as well?
I stopped watching him because I didn't really care.
No, it was like the third one that I like the best. There's a fight scene that I like a lot. And the first one seemed anticlimactic. He says all this shit, but he didn't really do anything. And then the one that I'm talking about, she's a part of her own rescue, but I think maybe she does get taken again. And then the other one would be Equalizer 3.
Yeah.
I like that much better than I like the first one. I didn't like the first one really at all. I didn't. Let me rephrase that. I didn't hate it. It was just blah. Like it wasn't special for me at all.
Yeah, it's
But I did really like the third one. I haven't seen the second one, but I did really like the third one.
Oh, I saw the second one. I've seen all three of them.
Well, I didn't see the second one, but I know there's some kind of promise made in the second one that he fulfills in the third one. To the parents of whoever he's saving in the third one or rescuing in the third one. Anyway, those are ones that I liked better than the originals. I'm sure if I thought about it, I'd probably come up with other ones, but
Dark Knight was better than Batman Begins.
Yeah, I wasn't really hyped on any of those. I mean, they were all okay to me, but I wasn't really hyped on any of them. I wasn't like, oh, I love this movie. I watch it over and over and over again. So,
Do you consider Silence of the Lambs a sequel to Red Dragon?
I don't, because Silence of the Lamb was filmed before Red Dragon. I know book-wise. What's that?
There was one, Manhunter, I guess, is what they called it.
Yeah, Manhunter was actually Silence of the Lambs. It was the same.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I'm like, when I say Silence of the Lambs, I like the Anthony Hopkins performance.
Yeah.
I didn't really get into any of the sequels, but like I said, also another factor you got to take in there is that I'm not a huge fan of horror these days.
Right.
Like I've just seen so much horror. I don't need to see anymore. Could take it or leave it. Mostly I leave it because there are other things that I want to watch. And honestly, not a whole lot of them either. I don't really watch a whole lot of. That's why I was so disappointed with the one that I was telling you about, is because I was like, oh, this seems like it's going to be a good one, and then I'm like, son of a bitch. 1/3 of the movie or 1/3 of the first show didn't have anything to do with the subject matter. I am one episode short of finishing Fallout.
Okay.
Which I would have finished tonight, but downloaded a PBS app and watched that thing on Arthur Conan Doyle while I was working out instead. Because I had already had it on, and I was like, well, why not? Why not just finish it, you know? Eli wanted me to finish watching Fallout because his routine, right? And he's been counting down the episodes. He's like, almost done. And I'm like, no, I've watched 6. There's 8. Actually, I think there's 9 episodes. No, 8.
I think it's funny that, I've yet to finish The Penguin. I watched the first 2 episodes, and I liked it. I want to finish it, but I just haven't had time.
I'm online right now.
I knew that Dune Prophecy was coming out, but I didn't know that it was. It's only got 1 more episode before it's over, and I'm like, oh, I guess and I was really looking forward. So I guess that's what I'll be watching over break is Dune Prophecy, The Penguin.
So you're into the sequels and prequels?
What, of Dune?
Yeah.
Yes and no. I wasn't a big fan when they made Duncan, Idaho. Well, never mind. I won't say that online, even though it's old. I wasn't really happy when the way the series kind of ended, and the revelations that they had about certain characters, and I didn't like the way. When Frank Herbert wrote, and this could be because of the age when I read these books, but when I read Frank Herbert's works about Dune, and
like the creator's works,
yeah, and you had the God Emperor of Dune, and I never felt like he was a terrible person. And
right on.
Well, he can see the future. He knows what's going on. Like he makes hard choices, and people don't like that. But at the same time,
I actually thought that he was an admirable person because of why he makes the choices he makes. He knows ahead of time,
right. So,
and he
but then later
sacrifices
on,
pretty much everything for it. So,
right. But then later on, when it's Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson writing, and they clone the God Emperor, and he's just a little demon, and it's like, where did you get this? Like, I don't know. Like, I understand if you want to say that Paul's sister becomes mean, because she became mean and evil and twisted. But I don't really see that with Emperor Leto. But that's to me.
yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff, it depends where in the Dune series. Like when they went really far back and they had the whatever they were, the Titans or whatever, back before the Orange Catholic Bible and the rebellion and all that stuff, I was like, this is boring. I don't like this. So they went too far back to explain the Harkonnens and the Atreides and all that. I was like, this.
Are you talking books or are you talking the movies?
The books.
So I liked the talking about the Carino House War and
yeah, but they went really far back. I didn't like it.
I liked it all right. I mean, it was so. This is going to be silly, I guess. What's most memorable besides the fact that House Atreides and House Harkonnen were friends is the Futurama, all the heads in a tank.
Yeah.
That was a core thing there. I don't know if it was before Futurama. I think maybe it was, but they had those bodies that they were putting them in, but they were just heads in a tank.
Yeah.
So after later on seeing Futurama do that, all I could think of was one of those bodies with Nixon's head in it.
Yeah. Well, to me, it changed the flavor of the series too much. Because there were other prequels that I thought were fun and interesting, and I had no problem with those. And I would still say
the closer ones to Dune, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I still think Frank Herbert's writing was better than Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. That's just me.
I don't know if I think his writing was. I mean, if we're talking prose, because he had some pretty difficult to get through prose. But his ideas, they were far more reaching than Kevin and Brian's. But he invested a lot more into Dune than Kevin and Brian, right?
I would assume so.
He had the last two Dune books in the original story that Kevin and Brian came back and wrote after writing 6 prequels. I think 6 or 7 prequels, something like that. I think there was 2 trilogies, wasn't there? Just the 2?
Oh, I don't know.
because he wrote the direct prequels. They wrote the direct prequels first. That was what they wrote together. Paul Ladune.
Yeah.
And then then they went back to the, I want to say Carino War, but that's not. Butlerian Jihad, that's what it is. Because that was the last book, the Butlerian Jihad. And they talk about it, like Frank Herbert talks about it all through Dune. That's how the Emperor, the Padishah Emperor, who is House Carino, got in power in the first place. But I don't think they did. Yeah, I don't want to down talk Kevin at all. I don't know Brian very well, but I don't think they did an adequate job of telling us how the Emperor got to be the Emperor, right? I think there's a big disconnect there for naming it the Butlerian Jihad and naming one of the books House Carino.
Okay.
It was, am I wrong? It was House Atreides, House Harkonnen, and House Carino, right?
Yeah, I think.
So it was, so there were 3 trilogies. Because then it stepped back from there to the Butlerian Jihad, because one of them was, Butlerian Jihad was one of the books, right?
Right.
You got the power to look it up.
Well, I could. We have 2 minutes left. Ugh.
2 minutes left, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's some good timing. Because right now I'm just kind of committing some lunch. Cleaning up some edges.
Oh, I so did not read all that. By the way, there's the Butlerian Jihad, which was in 2002. There's the Whipping Neck.
Yep. Because that's the actual ultimate prequels. That's where the story is supposed to start. That's when House Atreides and House Harkonnen were friends.
That's fine.
I know, bud.
Wait a minute.
Guess who's telling me it's time?
I'm going to guess.
Okay.
Eli, do you want to say hi to Brett?
How about?
Right
Uh,
here.
Hey, right. Good night.
good night.
He heard you. He said good night. I got my earphones in so he can't hear you.
You drive, can't wear a mouth. You can't drive, can't wear a mouth. Can't get wear a mouth. You can't drive.
All right, so it's 11 o'clock. That's that time.
All right.
That's half a page. Hey,
All right.
what do you want?
Hey, progress is progress, man.
Yeah, I think 2 panels because we trimmed one out. You were saying, yeah, 3, so we're going to have 3.
Alright.
Alright.
Cool.
All those that watched and commented, David Rodriguez, thank you for commenting. And I know that you were in the David Finch fan server and posted your own stuff. And I would link it, but you didn't stick around. So, or if you did, you didn't say anything. But yeah, so thanks for anyone that liked, subscribed, followed. As usual, good night. God bless. Much love.